Okay, so today I want to talk about pre-cane skills and what important role the parent can play in the development of a visually impaired child, especially in the context of orientation and mobility. So I always say to my learners, nothing impresses a sighted person more than seeing a blind person travel by themselves, using the correct long cane techniques and O&M techniques. So, orientation and mobility is the part of education that prepares the visually impaired child to travel independently. At our school, we follow an international O&M curriculum. So, orientation means to know where you are, and mobility is to be able to move from one place to another. So, many blind children travel quite well by themselves using either a cane or after school they can apply for a guide dog. They can go anywhere they want by themselves. They have what is called good orientation and mobility skills. So before a child can learn to walk, for example, he must first learn many simple kinds of body control. So each new skill a child learns builds on the skill he already knows and prepares him to learn other more difficult skills. So when a child does not learn a skill, this means he not only has problems with that skill, but with other skills that depend on it. So how can vision problems affect development? Babies who cannot see well often play less because they do not see anything to play with. A child who cannot see well may not understand or take part in conversations because he cannot see what is being talked about. So this child may begin to spend a lot of time alone because he does not understand what others are saying. So as you know, research has proven that about 85% of learning takes place of imitating. So kids naturally copy what they see or what other kids are doing or other people are doing. So when a child can see, skills develop naturally. Playing gives a child many natural opportunities to move about and to learn. Most of these problems do not have to happen. Children who cannot see can learn to use their remaining senses to help them to understand their world and to learn what other children usually learn by seeing. So how can you help? Simple activities that can be done as you play with your child or as you do your daily work. You can help your child to learn orientation skills by helping to develop his senses, the touch, hearing, smell, taste. Body orientation is very important. You can ask your child to touch your face and then touch his part of his body, because identification of body parts is very important to develop self-image. Encourage your child to nod his head or kick or wave and name the body parts. When I work with children, say I familiarize them with the four-way street crossing, I sometimes say to them, just give an indication that the driver can go or the car can drive on. And they ask me, how do I do that? So I must literally take the hand and show them this is a horizontal movement or an indication you can give just by moving your hand from right to left. They don't know how to do it. So that is just a simple example that things that they've never seen before, they don't know how to do it. So teach your child about his body and the way it can move. It is very important that the child is stimulated to move from an early age and is not allowed to sit in one place. One day I was asking one of my learners, she was in grade 1 or grade 2, how was your holiday? And she said to me, she was only sitting in one room in the house playing and not allowed to move around or go outside and to play. So you may ask yourself, how is my child ever going to learn how to get around when he can't see where he's going? The answer is allow him to explore. travel and play in the house, in the yard, in the neighborhood. And do not overprotect your child. Allow your child to play with sighted friends as much as possible. At our school, before we start with the training with the long cane, we give a child what we call the pre-cane. And that can make the child aware of different textures of surfaces they move on, like grass, soil, gravel, cement, sand, and also whether he's going uphill or downing, detecting stairs and that. If you don't have something like that, you can buy your child a toy like that. I can see when you give them something in the hand, they start moving and exploring. And by doing that, they will see the different textures and self-confidence will develop. A trailing technique is also a technique we'll teach your child, and you can do it yourself. It looks like this. You use the middle finger, ring finger. It is away from your body, hip height, against the wall. And we do this to familiarize our kids in a new environment. So they're coming to our hostels. We do the trailing technique by learning what does your room look like. To be able to move from the room to the dining room, you can use this trailing technique. So you can also start at home teaching your child the trailing technique. And remember, to move from one place to another, there will be landmarks. So tell them about what is on your way using landmarks. And by doing that, they will, a memory map of the environment. They will get a memory map. So take your child to different places, to the mall, to the library, and familiarize them with that new environment. So this will help the child to develop a memory map of the environment. And also, encourage your child to help with family work in and around the house, to work in the garden, to wash dishes. And as you do the work, talk to your child about what you are doing. Then self-care is very important. Special attention must be given to dressing, making a bed, folding clothes, and the correct eating techniques, and also brushing your teeth, how to get the toothpaste onto the toothbrush. So that's all mobility skills that you can teach your child in an informal way. Then there's a protective technique. Now the protective technique looks like this. It's like that with the right arm in line with the shoulder, and with the left hand like that in front of your body. So this will protect the upper body and lower body. And you can teach your child to use the protective technique when they're walking in unfamiliar places. So this technique will also boost self-confidence to be able to walk around. Then there's the sighted guide technique. Now, there's only 3 correct internationally used sighted guides techniques. So the first one will be middle finger, ring finger. So your child holds onto those 2 fingers if it is a little child. And as they grow older, they move up to the wrist, and they only take your arm like that around the wrist. And if they get taller, their hand will move up to the elbow. So you'll see it's thumb on the outside, 4 fingers on the inside. And I want you to ask you, so please show friends and family those correct techniques and start using them from an early age. And ask them not to take your child by hand or dragging your child around or carry them around. Rather use the correct sighted guide techniques. So as you see, visually impaired learners rely greatly on their sense of touch. So when they get to school, they will start learning Braille. You see in our library, we've got this different textures on the surface. We use a lot of map work to explaining to them about street crossings and all that. And then there is mobility terms. So that is terms we use in orientation and mobility. And that can also be developed through demonstrations, games, and mainly through daily usage. So our kids, when we familiarize them with our campus, that's a tactile map of our school campus, and they are familiar with all the buildings, the whole campus, and we've trained them all the correct long cane technique. We start working outside on the sidewalk. So first, when we start to go out, we will go and walk with the long cane techniques around a block. Now, what is a block? For a visually impaired child who've never seen or heard about a block, they won't understand. So you can explain to your children, what does it mean to walk around a block? How many turns are made in walking around a block? How many sides are there? Because that's all questions the kids will ask if they hear that we're going to walk around a block. You can explain to them what is a driveway, what are directions, where are the houses. You see, there's a tactile map I've made. It's Worcester, it's an area we work in, and it consists of a lot of blocks, and there's street names. So the names is in Braille, so we'll teach them the street names, that the streets, they are parallel to each other. So that's all things you can talk to with your kids. Explaining to them a four-way street crossing. How does it work? The flow of the traffic. Can you hear? Is a car coming? Is it nearby? Or is there no cars? So they must listen to the flow of the traffic. So you see how important it is, their senses. The hearing sound identification is also a very important sense. So as you know, a blind baby hears a sound. If he can't touch the source, it's gone from his world. It is so important that you as a parent, if there is a toy, put the toy in the hand of your child so that he can feel it, he can touch it, he can hear it. And also talk a lot to your children, because remember, he has a greater need to conversation than a sighted baby. Then the relationship between body and other objects. Your child needs to learn ideas like in front of you, it's to your left, and know where things are. Try getting their attention with a noisy toy. I sometimes use these clickers, and I teach them am I in front of you, am I behind you? You've got something like this, and if they're struggling with what is my left hand or right hand, you can put it around their wrist, or you can use a ribbon just to learn this is my right hand, for instance. Spatial orientation is very important. They must learn where their body is in relation to other objects. The door is now in front of me. And they must also learn where objects are in relation to other objects. If I walk through the door, what will be on the other side? So that's also very important. So what can you do? You can make up some games. So encourage your child to play underneath things, on top, go on top of things, between things, through things, inside things. Hide something underneath the table. Can you go and find it? So that's all important for spatial orientation. And remember, your child must move. So body movement to move forward, backwards, sideways. These days you get soccer balls with bells inside, cricket balls for blind people with bells inside. So get a ball, learn them to kick and move around, forward, backwards, and so on. Smells like sounds can give information about things close by or at a distance. So when you walk, explain to them the different smells around you and see if you can go and touch these objects that these smells. So smells is also very important. So sometimes you'll see that your kids may do this or this or tapping a cane, though that is what we call echolocation. They're doing echolocation. So echolocation is a technique used by some visually impaired individuals to navigate their environment. So by emitting a series of clicks or other sounds, the individual is able to listen to the echoes that bounce back off of objects in their surrounding, allowing them to create a mental map of the environment, similar to how bats navigate in the dark. So by doing that, clicks, they can determine the location, the size, the shape of objects. So it's actually good if they use echolocation. And if you want to know how you can, to get them to do it better, I've had some training in that, so I can discuss it also with you. Okay, and that's all from my side. There was just a few practical examples of how you as a parent can help to develop your visually impaired child's orientation and mobility, which lead to greater sense of independence and self-confidence. I've got some information books here. It's in Afrikaans and English. Just the basic O&M techniques for you and a guidance for you as a parent for do's and don'ts. But feel free to take one if you want some.